If you're tired of smooth, high-quality, lag-free online gameplay, then we've got just the thing for you. Get ready to argue with your friends about who's got the worst internet connection. For only $20 a month, Nintendo Switch Online gives you an experience you can all bond over.
Let's talk about this.
Why has Nintendo's online servers always sucked? My earliest memories with online gaming aren't even in part with my own consoles. As much as you guys always see me talk about my love for Nintendo, as a young boy, my interest with online gaming came from the big boys that were running the scene at the time. Microsoft's Xbox 360, of course, being one of the biggest driving forces of online multiplayer, in gaming at the time. It was the many summer nights I would stay up late watching my older brother play Halo 3 with his online friends. I used to think that these guys were just his school buddies, and although that is partially true, most of them were just random online strangers who added each other from casual matches. Seeing how much fun my brother had talking to these guys with his cheap plastic 360 mic, I would beg and beg and beg just for a chance to play with them. And although I'm sure my brother didn't mind, I truly think he just didn't want to play split screen Halo 3 multiplayer, which is understandable. The very few rare times I was allowed to play with them was because they needed somebody extra to fill out the teams and make it equal for whatever game mode they were playing. Maybe you guys went through this as well. This early exposure to online gaming was one that would feed my childhood brain just enough fuel to try and make my own experiences with online gaming at the time. 2008 saw the release of a very questionable game in its series, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And although many competitive players don't really care for this game, to me personally, this was one of my favorite Wii games as a kid. One of my core memories with this game has to do with its online compatibility, and just how god-awful the online matches were. Now, I don't know how fast my family's internet plan was at the time, but this is where I soon realized that having a home console connected wirelessly is like 90% going to end in like bad matches. Especially it being like 2010, 2009 maybe. The stage was Port Town Aero Dive. I was playing my favorite character at the time, Captain Falcon. But let me just say this, I was not playing Captain Falcon at all. In fact, I was practically watching a Microsoft PowerPoint of Captain Falcon. The frame rate was horribly slow, I remember the match lasting forever, and I was kinda scared to force shut down my Wii because I couldn't do anything. It was a grueling pain to go through after seeing how much fun my brother would have on his Xbox 360. Talking trash online and pwning noobs across the nation in real time was something that I yearned for. So why didn't I get this experience? Why didn't I have a good time playing through Nintendo's online servers? Really though, whose fault was this? The Wii had over 100 games compatible with Nintendo's Wi-Fi connection, so why couldn't I have a great experience with these games? Was it technically my fault, or better yet, my parents' fault for just coming out of a recession and not wanting to spend extra money on our internet? Freaking casuals, man. As of recently, this has got me thinking about Nintendo's home consoles and their accessibility when it comes to playing games online. Where Sony and Microsoft have kind of always given their consoles the easy access to plug in an Ethernet cable, Nintendo never really got around to that until like recently. Although mostly every Nintendo home console was given the chance to play games online, it seems like it was never really in their main interests. The GameCube was the first of its kind to give players this opportunity to do so, but only really taking advantage of it with a few titles. Literally, the Phantasy Star Online series was like the only one to do it. The Wii had given a lot more of these games the opportunity for online multiplayer. Like, there were up to 500 games that allowed for the use of Nintendo's Wi-Fi connection. And of course, as you get into more modern times, the Wii U and the Switch, was given way more games to play online. But all of these consoles ran into the same issue if you wanted to play with your online buddies. Either you had to deal with playing with probably a less than decent wireless connection to your modem, or you could buy an official Nintendo LAN adapter. The GameCube had its own adapter that popped into the bottom of the console. The Wii and the Wii U practically shared the same USB adapter. And as for the Switch, being a more modern console, it's interesting to see that although you could just use a first-party as well as third-party adapters for the original model, once the OLED Switch was released in 2021, the dock for that system had a built-in Ethernet port. Holy crap. Just think about that for a second though. 20 years after the release of the GameCube, Nintendo has finally given you the chance to hardwire your system to the internet. What? And now that the Switch 2 is showing off its ability to use a webcam as well as streaming, it seems like it would only be sensible for Nintendo to start adding Ethernet ports onto their future systems. But maybe Nintendo's been onto something that the average gamer just couldn't comprehend within these past 20 years. Maybe there's a reason why Nintendo never included Ethernet ports on the back of the consoles for easy online access. Maybe Nintendo's home consoles didn't need to be hardwired all this time, because a good wireless connection was all you needed to play these online games. Right? If you've ever played any online multiplayer match through a Nintendo console, you would know just how crucial it is for you to have one of these adapters to play online. And for the majority, I will be talking about modern online gaming with the original Switch model. Because if I was to compare internet speeds from like 15 years ago to now, there's like a substantial difference. If you've ever played Smash Bros. Ultimate with someone online who doesn't have a LAN adapter connected to their Switch, the joke about the game turning into a slideshow is not a joke. Every time without fail, your game will lag into oblivion until the match just gets disconnected. In a game where every movement down to a single frame needs to be locked in, you can kiss your Elite Smash rank goodbye if you've never had a reliable connection. Honestly, if anyone has made it to Elite Smash with a wireless connection, I want to know how you did it. Let me know. To be honest, I don't even think it's possible. This is where I feel like the online play experience matters the most. Some of the most fun you'll ever have playing in online matches is when everything is running so smooth and the opposing side of whoever you're going against, they just can't pick up the slack and they're just getting whooped and mopped and freaking... They're losing pretty. As I mentioned before, the Super Smash Bros. Series is one that I feel like cooking someone in a smooth match is just so satisfying to see. None of these 1 frame per second matches where you're not even sure when the next frame will pick back up. A game I've had a little bit of experience in and have had others tell me about their online experience the most is Splatoon. I've seen some gameplay of some online matches with some horrible connection, and it literally does not look fun. Although this one is more of a shooter, being able to calculate someone's position and having paint missing a point blank target seems like a bad time. I've had a few viewers tell me as well that playing ranked matches in Splatoon is just straight up impossible if the connection is terrible. And I don't know if I'm just bad at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I've had my fair share of playtime in bad connection lobbies where shells will fly right past me and then still come back to hit me. And although this isn't really a competitive game, playing Animal Crossing back in 2020, visiting your online friends' islands was an absolute nightmare. Arriving and departing from an online island was absolute hell to go through. And the communication option for this game kind of leads into my next point. Nintendo making the decision that people need to download an entirely separate mobile app to have a better communication experience with online friends is such an odd thing to do. It seems like now they've become a little bit more lenient with the Switch 2 and its voice chat and its video calling apparently now. Having everything through a separate app back then is so weird, man. I think one of Nintendo's biggest issues when it comes to online multiplayer is the fact that they have to keep everyone safe from one another. And not to say that this is a bad issue either, but it seems like whenever Nintendo has an idea for a fun online experience, in order for them to go 1 step forward, they kind of have to take 3 steps back. And it's mainly to keep everyone safe on their platform. This means that for the longest time, if you've ever wanted to play with a friend online, you always needed to add them by friend code. There was no gamertag or any link to your Nintendo ID, which I would feel like would make the most sense, but once again, that would disrupt the privacy and safety of a child with this account. The few times Nintendo has tried to incorporate the idea of conversing with other Nintendo players, it has always ended badly. Probably the 2 biggest safety concerns Nintendo has probably had to go through is with their services Swapnote and Miiverse. Where the 3DS's Swapnote allowed the ability to send doodles and messages to friends, it was sadly discontinued 2 years after its launch due to minors being exposed to some pretty bad images from people they added. Once again through their friend code. It might be obvious to say that, the Wii U's Miiverse most likely went through the same issue. Just grown adults being weirdos on kid services, man, why? But where exactly is Nintendo's moderation behind these services? If you're going to allow communication between players through images and doodles, why not have a super strict moderation filter that everything has to go through? It's just another piece of Nintendo's online ability where they seem to lack just the basics to have a really great experience. Since the Nintendo Switch 2 is now released, it's going to be interesting to see these next couple years with Nintendo and just how much force they're putting with their online servers. News about them upgrading to Wi-Fi 6 had been spread months before the console was even dropped, so it's obvious that this is kind of a big thing for Nintendo to do. Although it's only taken like, 25 years. Nintendo has finally gotten with modern times and decided to put Ethernet ports on the back of their consoles. This is a day one console that has it as well. Let's just see if the other choices that they've been making when it comes to the build of this console works out for them. Future Nick here to intervene. I'm gonna intervene because this video was actually supposed to go out like a week before the Switch 2 launched, but I decided to wait because I wanted to see if there was any difference with the online connection, and let me just say it is a lot better. Of course, all we have right now with the Switch 2 is Mario Kart World, but I've been playing this game non-stop on stream. Let me just say that it is a fresh experience, and playing in like 24 lobbies, you'd expect the connection kind of be a little bit spotty, but no, it's literally so smooth. I know there's some people online kind of saying that they're having like major connection issues where their Switch 2 just won't even connect to the internet, but as for like online multiplayer, I've been having such a fantastic time and I don't really see any issues with it. On top of that, I've been able to kind of mess around with the webcam and the microphone feature that the brand new Switch 2 has. And although it is kind of gimmicky, it is a lot of fun seeing each other's faces in Mario Kart World, and you know, being able to actually like chat with people through the actual console it's something new for Nintendo. I was gonna end off this video by talking about all the bad things Nintendo has output with the Switch 2, but honestly, I feel like there's a ton of misinformation that's being spread about this console right now. Although I don't necessarily totally 100% agree with the $500 price tag that the Switch 2 has, it is what it is. I bought it, and honestly, I feel like it's a major upgrade from the Switch 1. Okay, back to me like 3 weeks ago. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and here's a big appreciation to Xavier for supporting my channel. It literally means a lot knowing that someone is willing to just give a little bit to your boy for just making these silly videos on the internet that I enjoy making for everybody. If you've made it to the end of this video, leave a like, subscribe, do all the things that YouTubers ask you to do, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!